Since November 5th, you've seen XRP's price go absolutely crazy. What is going on with that? Why is it climbing so high? And more importantly, how high can XRP really go? We're going to have a deep discussion on that today. I think most don't really understand XRP, what it is, why the market cap of XRP can reach numbers that most don't really understand and they say can never happen. And I think they're wrong. To go deeper, I have a special guest. Now, he has an incredible background, which gives him particularly good insights into why XRP has potential to reach over $100 in the next year. He's been doing years and years and years of research on what is going on with XRP and some of the ISO standard tokens and why their market caps can go much higher than what most the quote-unquote experts are saying. Now, these same experts were wrong, as they said Bitcoin would fail. I think they're also wrong on why XRP can go numbers most can't even fathom right now. Welcome to the Crypto Rain channel and our family. Now, if you, like me, came into crypto because you realize the potential for life-changing gains over a 4 to 8 year period, and you're looking for those discussions on becoming a solid, unshakable crypto investor, you're in exactly the right place and with the right family, the Rainmaker family. Now, the reason I created this channel is because I was once new to crypto 7 years ago. And back then, I was looking for a crypto channel, a network or group that understood crypto as an investment and discussed the most important things, like the overall 4-year cycle that crypto plays out in, and projects within that, the pros and cons of those projects, the risks, the guesses at upside if it came together well. And I didn't find it. So we created it. And I say we because it's not just me anymore. It is a family of rainmakers. And you'll see them here in the chat. One of those rainmakers is our special guest today. Amazing business background. You will also find discussions in our free Telegram group, and there is a link to that below. You will definitely find them in our private Patreon group that gives you access to the Rainmaker private Discord. And this Rainmaker private Discord is where the best discussion and the best info is. We've actually had a lot of discussions about these ISO tokens and XRP, while XRP was still 50 cents for the past year. There are other benefits to being in that Discord too, but you will have to join us to find out. Do note, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a crypto investor myself. Now, make it rain on that like button. Strap in for the show. I'd like to introduce our special guest who's joining us today. And we're keeping his name private, but if you join our Rainmaker group and private Discord, he goes by Sale. And Sale, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure, Jay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's great to be here with you.
Yeah, I'd love it if you would share a little bit about your business background and then a little bit about the research that you've been doing on these ISO standard tokens, particularly XRP.
Happy to. Okay, so I made my career in finance. Right, I started as an accountant. Became a financial analyst, became a controller, and worked for ADP, not a small company, looking at flagship property for 13 years. Was controller of 2 of their startups, brought them from 0 up to, I don't know, 24 million and $38 million. Was an IT director, a corporate controller, a regional controller, worked in 3 different industries, which is unusual, right? Usually you stay in one lane, right? On top of that, after that, I became a project manager and I worked for private equity. I understand, and I did systems for them, and I did migrations and transitions. Also a very tough thing, and I've done like, I don't know, about a dozen of those. Usually if you get through one of them, you're very highly valued, right? So I've done them in all different kinds of environments. But I also have some ACH experience, and I understand monetary theory as a result of that. And
for those who don't know the banking industry, ACH is where businesses interact to directly take or make payments, correct?
Correct. Yeah, and also in credit card. So I've got a broad background, and part of what that did for me is it gave me a broader view and gave me the ability to do research and dive deep. So I got into crypto in 2012. Okay. I got into altcoins in 2017 and 2018. All right. I owned XRP in early 2018. Okay. And I had held it, right, and made some money off it. Sold it after the SEC made their announcement just before it topped out. Made good money on it, right, and then bought back in right after they made after the impact happened and XRP dropped. I bought back in. I've been buying ever since.
Now, those that don't know you already, that business background includes you often had to talk to some of the senior management at different large institutions. What was your interaction? Did you interact sometimes with who at the large banks?
I did. So I worked with both, I hate to say it, SVB, right, who's now gone under, right, but they were very big into the PE market. And I also worked with Wachovia, all right, back down the line, right, who was a VC, right, would do VC backing. And then also with Bank of America extensively, right.
Background was interacting or interfacing in many ways with these large banks. And so you got to see behind the scenes of how they operate in the rails, the current rails that banks operate on. So then you became aware of XRP or started buying XRP in 2018. Then you sold it, made some profit. Fair to say you were new at understanding what XRP does and what they were building on it, or did you already fully understand? What was your situation there?
Well, when I physically purchased XRP in 2018, I actually bought a little bit at the end of 17, a little bit in 18. When I actually physically purchased them originally, I knew what they were, which is why I bought them. I knew what the idea of the chain was and where they were building. Remember, it was the coin was released, and they were mostly concept based at that point in time. They had some things that were coming out with, and it looked really good. And at that point we were investing in future tech. All right, it's like the beginnings of the internet. So I had a pretty good idea. I sold because I saw the upset it was going to create, and I decided to take my profits and then roll them again as soon as it dropped, right? Which is what I did, right? And so it let me increase the position.
Of it is just that you knew with the SEC lawsuit that was just going to bring momentum down for a long time, which is exactly what it did for actually a very long time, like 4 years, really.
And you and I, Jay, I mean, we've known each other for a while, right? This is not new for me. I didn't just walk onto the scene, and I'm saying this week, right? You know that I had particular projections sometime in the past, right? And have been consistent all the way along, right? And you've seen some of the research that I've done.
Well, for those that have been members of our private Discord, we've been discussing XRP. I haven't covered XRP on the channel a whole lot because a lot of my investments are in small altcoins. Now, I only like tokens, at least for this cycle, that I think have 100x potential. What's interesting is most things that have a market cap as high as XRP do not have 100x potential. But XRP was trading at 50 cents when we were having all these discussions. And when you shared with me why XRP could go to over $100, I thought, you know what? I think Sale is absolutely right. What I was having a hard time understanding was when that run would happen, because that wasn't clear. Because as we'll talk about, there are a lot of really big pressures. They're trying to keep the price on it still cheap. And they're still trying to do that today. They're just struggling to, because they're not ready for this to fully hit. And they have some incentive to keep it as cheap as long as possible. And yet enough people are coming in and they're buying XRP, not really understanding what they're buying. It's just going up, so they want in on that action. And this video I want to make is so that they understand the substance behind what they're buying. The substance is quite profound, and there are good reasons why it could go to over $100 from here. And that's what the discussion is about. And I felt like there was no better guest than to have you on to share with them. I appreciate that you've been sharing this with our private Rainmaker group for at least the past year and a half. While XRP was really cheap and nobody was talking about it, you were.
It's an interesting thing. If I had to look at XRP and say, and identify what it really was, okay, and how it relates to an investment, I would say that XRP is actually focused as a bridge currency, okay? It is built and intended to be infinitely scalable and to be able to move value, all right, across borders and from institution to an institution, right, or from person to person. They have spent, the reason that it's in and out of the narrative is because they have connections at the highest level of every government in the world. All right, they are literally building out, have rails built, payment rails, have licensing built out in 90 countries around the world right now. Okay, and they have more coming.
No question about that, because it's true. And people who do deeper research will find out that, like, Japan and other governments have already passed the legislation needed for XRP to become the financial rails of the system. But if all that's true, why are so many people unaware of it?
So, and that's obviously the $64,000 question. All right. So the reason for that is because is twofold. In the United States, people are not aware of it. Outside the United States, it's been business as usual since the SEC lawsuit, which was engendered, in my opinion, right, by the banks to try to tamp it down and hold it back in conjunction with the U.S. government. Right. The reality that we are looking at is that prior to that action, Ripple was who's the parent, the company that's in charge of actually developing use case for XRP, was working very closely and had been working very closely with the U.S. government. They had worked with the CFTC. They had been in and out of the SEC saying, what are we doing? Let's do everything right. They've been working with the U.S. Treasury. All of that was taking place. All right. And then they put the brakes on them. But what happened was, and they were a U.S.-based company out of California. What happened as a result of that is Ripple, being a very well-run company, redirected all of their efforts, or most of their efforts, out of the United States. So 95% of their growth from that time to today has transpired outside of the United States. That's why all these payment rails are in place, and why no one in the U.S. knows, because it's not in the narratives. It's not in the news. You hear something about it, you hear something else, because they've been trying to push the price down. And they've done very well with that. What you're seeing right now, all right, is the fact that we are very close, all right, to having everything in place. The last piece is actually regulation in the U.S. Regulation is passed in Europe, okay, and we can go into that. Regulation has been passed in Australia and in Japan and China and everywhere else in the world. It's just the U.S. So what you're looking at, and I understand why this is important. I'm going to give you a couple of really, really very quick examples of how big this is in just one aspect. So they had a test, okay, and I know bank, right? So they had a test, okay, to send money from Boston, right, to Shanghai. $750 million. It's over a year and a half ago. And usually what happens when you do a transfer is a percentage of that transfer all right, gets taken up in fees. And then internationally, it takes 3 to 5 days for it to get there, can be up to 3 weeks. And then there's a settlement time, all right? It's not just get there, but there's a settlement time. And there's like a 6% error rate, okay, on this type of transfer. Like the money gets lost. It goes to the wrong account. They have to trace it, try to find it, try to recover it. So a $750 million transfer was done using Ripple Tech, which is the technology to actually convert any type of fiat or crypto into XRP and then transmit it and then convert it to the end state that's desired, right? Any other crypto or any other currency, and settle it and deposit it. So settled and deposit. We just talked about transfer being taken from 3 to 5 days or up to 3 weeks, and then settlement, it could take any amount of time after to find it, right? They did it in 3 seconds. And the cost for that transfer, all right, in TradFi would have been $15 million on 750 million. It was 30 cents. So why is this important? Obviously, all right, there's a huge amount of money. I can tell you right now, working in accounting for all the years I worked in, there's a huge amount of money, right, trying to fix and prevent errors and omissions, right, all the time. Energy, everything else, both soft and hard cost. And then there's amount of money for each physical, transaction that takes place. Look, I work for ADP. I can't tell you the amount of money we made from doing W-2s or doing bank transfers. And we did, it wasn't just payroll that we did, right? We did claim services, we did remittances, we did all kinds of stuff, right? And each one of those transactions has a cost associated with it. And I promise you the cost was more than 30 cents, all right, for every transaction. Now, if you take XRP and understand that what I said initially is that it's a bridge for the transfer of value. And you look at this tech, you say, well, what are they going to do with this tech? Well, the reason this tech is being built out, and I'm saying it's at the highest levels of governments, I'm talking about the World Bank as well as governments. I'm talking about the International Monetary Fund. I'm talking about the Bank of International Settlement, which is the bank that controls all of the central banks around the world, right? These players are all working with Ripple. Ripple has a seat at the table with all of these players. And what they are trying to do is create a single standard for every bank in the world to adhere to, and have a messaging system where they can track every single payment that goes across the rails, and have it all be standardized and unified and regulated under one set of regulations. That's them saying that, not me. And Ripple is a primary carrier for that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jay.
We are live, and we have questions coming in, and I'll catch up to some of them. Nat Bosco asked a question, and I wanted to highlight this because this frequently is a question people ask in their mind when things are still early. Nat asks, why isn't the current XRP price reflecting this potential?
So the reason it's not reflecting that potential is simple, is it takes a long time to build this out. Everybody wants instant gratification, right? So behind the scenes, XRP has been making these contacts around the world. They've been through Ripple. Ripple has been developing and selling their tech based upon fiat. I'm sure some people in this audience have noticed or have sold stock in the past and know that it takes time for stock to settle out of your stock account or out of any account. It can be a day before you may see it in there, but it's 3 or 5 days before you can have access to the cash, all right? Now, right? In the last year, it became what we call T+1, transaction plus one. All right. That T+1 is Ripple Tech. They want to move to T0 immediate. And that's only on the blockchain. Okay. So why aren't you seeing it? Because it's taken so long, one, and because what they're talking about doing, again, not me. I'm talking about governments. I'm talking about E&Y. I'm talking about all the consultants and the banks. They're talking about switching out their monetary system. SWIFT goes away. You're seeing it now. That's what FedNow is, right? FedNow is exactly that, but it's bank to bank, okay, within the United States. They have the ability later on to move to cross-border, right? But they're really not letting that out right yet. So what happens is they've suppressed it and kept it out of the public view while they continue the build out. And that's your answer.
Yeah, I wanted to share this chart. A lot of times in the crypto space, people expect things to happen like right away, and they're confused why it doesn't. Like that question probably comes from a place of, well, I already own XRP and I'm ready for the price to go way up. Why hasn't it gone way up? And this is the chart, right? So it's gone up some. It was trading at just under 50 cents. And then it ran up to basically 3x. And somebody said in the comments, this cracks me up, taking off, they're all down 5%. And it's like, yeah, this is what taking off looks like. Yet we're not talking about daily, like it doesn't matter that it pulled back a little bit, 5%. This is a chart that is absolutely taking off. And now if I were to draw this trend line out, realize that it blew past this. And that doesn't mean it goes straight up, but this is, when it blew past this ceiling here, it came back and retouched it. It's going to keep going up. Now, one of the big things on people's mind where they get so wrong in their crypto investments, realize that over 90% of people in the crypto space do not do well with their investments in this space because they're just unprepared. They trade emotionally and they trade with no patience, and it'll wreck you. 5% do okay, and the remaining 5% do incredible in this space. But the remaining 5% do things very differently than what the 90% do. And lack of patience is not something the 5% that does really well do. So one of the things I really wanted to share with you is, yes, XRP looks decent in the short term. It looks amazing in the medium term. And that's what I needed people to see, was because, yes, it broke above this. It's probably going to keep running some more. But what happens if we have a pullback in kind of like, say it runs up for all of December and then it pulls back? This is where a lot of new people often get wrecked, is they then lose faith because they get used to it just going up, and then it comes back and they actually sell out at that point, or they sell out after 3x profits, and they don't take the opportunity to get back in when it goes through a little lull, and then the bigger run later happens. What are your thoughts? Do you think it runs straight up to $100 in the coming like 3 months, or do you think maybe it has a little run and then it pulls back for a while? What are your guesses at how this may play out?
Yeah, so while I'm not a financial analyst, I'm not a financial advisor, although I am an analyst. I will say this, right, is that I expect XRP is a different play. I expect that they're going to stair step. All right, there'll be a pullback. Right, this is what we have right now. Today, yes, this morning is a very normal thing, and it's kind of like a stair step. So I think that that's exactly correct. Will be a stair step. I don't think that we're going to be at $100 by the end of December. All right. But what happens with XRP and the way that XRP works is that, and will work, is as they turn the system on, and Europe is actually turning it on beginning in December 31st, right? The 29 central banks in Europe are all using this rail. Japan's ready to do it, along with them. The U.S. will be turning it on in mid-March of 25. But it's not that they turn it on and everything moves to it. As they start to utilize it, it ramps up. And then it's the value that moves to that network that actually impacts its price, because it's that value that has to be moved across the network. And XRP's price is determinant upon that use. So what is the price of XRP required to move that value? So you can see that what I'm talking about is more value is added and then you have to move it. What is that price, right? That's what we're going to see. So what's interesting about this is in the short term, right, XRP, there are different catalysts that will push it and should push it. And XRP will find its price, which is what it's doing right now. It was held down for a very long time, like a beach ball underwater, by the SEC lawsuit and by being pushed out of the narrative and a lot of counter narrative that was being run. So now what you're seeing is it's starting to find its price. There is actually a shortage or a squeeze happening on available XRP, which is pushing it. You've got some institutional and some private investors who are very interested in this technology, so they're buying it up, and it's causing a little retail FOMO, right? So I think it will go up. It's going to be in a little bit of a channel for maybe a week. It'll go up again, right? There's some resistance at 162. We bounced off of 161 and came down. I think it's going to go right through that, all right? And then it's pretty clear above that, right, to get back to its all-time high, which was really 384, all right, set in 18. So that's kind of where I think it's going in the short term. It'll stair step and it'll go up. It won't be, I'm going to 382. It's going to take little steps, right? And that's a very healthy thing for it to do. When there's a pullback, right, it will pull back like everything else in the market. But determined upon how much has physically moved, okay, to this new financial system, it won't pull back all the way. It'll come down and it'll go back because that value has to move across the system, and they're going to switch out the systems, right? And that will take place in 25. Does that help?
Yes, a lot. A lot of what people don't understand about investment is this idea of unequal information. So is it this stuff we're discussing now, what percentage of the population, this is a question to the viewers, what percentage of the population do you think understands what's going on with the financial rails moving over to XRP? Is it fair to say less than 1%, less than half of 1%? So when people ask, why does XRP not realize this value? How is it even possible that it realizes value when most of the population don't even understand that the financial rails are moving? Now, it's fair to say even when the financial rails move, less than 50% of the population will even know that it's moved. They'll just know that their stuff gets sent faster, cheaper. 50% of the population probably won't ever participate in this no matter what. But we do see this unequal information lead to reward those who understand what's coming and can take the risks on it. Then if it does play out that way, they get this massive upside. And what I've seen in the crypto investment spectrum is that things swing too far each way. So XRP shouldn't have been as cheap as it was during the bear market, and yet it was. And then the flip side will happen, that it will become way more expensive than it probably should be. And so we see these gigantic swings. I want to go back to historical, like when I say that things break up, this is what XRP was trading at in the early days. Now, back in 2014, XRP was just an idea and a concept that they were hoping to make happen. And it launched and the price was trading around 3 cents, and it went down to less than half a penny. then it swung back up, and then it bounced around this zone. But you see, when there's two breaks to the upside that happened here, when it broke this trend, see, it just traded sideways in this trend for forever. It couldn't seem to break out. And we're talking by forever, we're talking years, 2015 all the way to mid 2017 before it broke to the upside and went absolutely crazy in 2017. As their technology moved forward, they started making really good partnerships, and it broke all the way up to geez, what was the actual top that it hit?
It was actually 384 in South Korea, but they shut down the trading and they took all the trading out of it, and I think it settled around 3 in the US, around 334.
And I wanted to show you how there were two major moves in it, right? So this is often what happens. It starts to move up like this. It retraces, as I'd say, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And this shakes some people out and they freak out and they sell. Then it takes another run up, and then it just traded sideways and consolidated around 25 cents before it later ran all the way up to $3.80. Then right around here, the SEC lawsuit happened, which really muted what it did in the 2021 run when most of crypto really took off. And it puts a question mark on its future of whether this was going to happen this way. So they were smart and they moved a lot of their focus outside the US while the US's regulatory framework was uncertain and very anti-crypto. The SEC has been acting very anti-crypto since way back in, before actually Gary Gensler. Gary Gensler was just even more anti-crypto than the previous SEC chairman, and really holding back crypto as much as he could. But we're seeing it now break out of this trading pattern to the upside, and that's a good thing. Now, some people are asking a question, is it going to break up to $100 this cycle, or might it just happen in the next 8 years? What are your thoughts?
So look, I've really dug deeply into all the different factors that I could find that would push XRP and push, the ISO, the whole ISO transition. And I also know all of the different dates and the landmarks that both they have put in, and where different things are coming online. And my belief is that are going to, in this particular run, what we should see, right, is a continued move up. Will it get to 100 in this run? Unlikely. Okay. But because of what I'm trying to describe to you is that this is a value play. This is a true utility play. Something is actually being physically built or has been built for the last 12 years, and it is now coming to fruition. All right. All the pieces are in place. Everything's there. We're waiting for the last couple. All right. And one of them is stablecoin regulations in the US and regulations in the US. And I'm going to tell you the regulations in the US will have a different name, but they're going to follow MiCA regulations from Europe. Because it's what I said to begin with is the BIS said, okay, that they wanted one standard platform, one standard set of rules, and one standard set of regulations. End of discussion. They're running it, right? So that's what it's going to be. All right. So by this year, all right, or 2025 is the year where everything becomes to come online, and we're the year that they start to step it up. So what I believe is that by the end of 2025, as they ramp up and stair step into utilization, I think you're going to see that number.
We got Ashraf 47 saying XRP is going to hit 10K by the end of 2025.
I'd be amazed. I don't think so, but that's fine. Anybody can believe what they want.
Well, sometimes the pendulum does swing too far each way. It was premature for XRP to hit $3.80 in 2017. In fact, it eclipsed Ethereum, and it was close to catching up to the market cap of Bitcoin. It was premature of that, but it shows you how when momentum gets behind something, new people that don't understand what's going on, they tend to chase massive green candles. And especially the bigger the green candle gets, the bigger the line gets to buy at those high prices. And I do try to help people from that, because one of the key principles to making great money in crypto is buying low and selling high. It doesn't work very well to buy high and then try to sell higher, because though sometimes you're right, when you buy high, it goes higher. You often forget to take profits, and then it reverses to below what your buying point was. And then many people then sell. This is what the 90% of people do that lose money in crypto. And since 2017, when I was brand new in crypto, I was not new to investing at all. But I didn't realize at the time crypto played by the exact same rules that regular investments do. It's just way more volatile. It swings higher, faster, and down faster than most other investments. I thought everyone was going to make money because this technology was so new. And what I realized is that most people just trade it all wrong. And let me ask it, it's run up. It was 50 cents. It was massively undervalued. It's at $1.50. Is $1.50 too high to buy? In fact, today, right now, it's at $1.33. Is that too high to buy? Are people buying high just hoping it goes higher at that price?
I've always been one of the guys that believes you don't chase a green candle, right? It's always been one of my little things that I live on. However, with these types of coins, this type of projects that are utility-based projects that are in their infancy, we're early, right? We're so early, okay? That you have to realize that the full realization of their potential won't take place in 6 months or a year, right? This particular play, this coin has the potential to run all the way through 2037, right? Because when we talk about it, we tend to look with a very small lens at things and say, okay, well, I want it today and this should happen today, or this should happen this week, or I'm not interested. No, it takes time to build this stuff. And the reality is the full financial potential of the globe is going to move to this technology. Now, XRP will not be the only winner, right? There will be multiple winners in multiple spheres, but they are the leader, and their technology, and they're partnered with every other player out there. So they get a piece of everything. Everybody gets to run on them as well. So while they may not be the lead, they have partnerships everywhere that are still using their tech, all right, and their product. And you make money. So
share some thoughts.
Yeah, let me just finish this one thought, Jay. So the reality is that this play is like a generational play, right? If you think it's a get rich quick, right? I'm going to tell you, you can make money on it, but the real money to be made is as utilization ramps up. And things that we haven't even thought about being utilized for will be utilized for. All right. It's not a town view or a state view or a country view. It's a global view.
Yeah. Where so many people go wrong is they get their time frames wrong in investing. Oftentimes, what you get excited about isn't necessarily wrong when you're new in crypto. It's just your timeline is wrong. So they come in when, and as human beings, we notice what's moving, right? So when things break to the upside, that's what got my attention in 2017. I wouldn't have come into crypto. But I was talking to a friend that was in the real estate investment space, and he's like, oh my gosh, my mind's going crazy. And I was like, why? And he said, well, I put in $15,000 into this investment 3 months ago, and it's up to 175,000. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? And he told me about this altcoin buy he had made. And I was like, holy cow. And that's what got me looking deeper at crypto. Now, when you're brand new at crypto, it's like drinking from a fire hose. There's so much to understand. There are a lot of scams in crypto, like more than you realize if you're brand new. a lot. I found that I like to find substantive projects that have been around for a little while, or the team members at least have been around for a long while, so that I have a bearing on how they're going to work in this space, because there are so many scams. And that's one of the best things. And I like substantive projects that have good long-term potential. But don't get your timelines wrong. XRP, what I believe about XRP is that they are doing the right things, so they are the financial rails of the future. So even at $1.50 is not as cheap as it was at 50 cents. It isn't. Are you buying high? Well, it depends on your timeline. It just broke to the upside. Probabilities are that it's going to continue to run for a little while, and then it will probably pull back, or it will trade sideways, downward and sideways for a while before probably a bigger run. But what I like about XRP is I like it as a long-term play, a retirement play. And Kelly asked a really good question about it. Like, if XRP has so much potential, why is Michael Saylor just talking about Bitcoin and solely focused on Bitcoin? You know, Bitcoin had its major upside runs when it was riskier. It wasn't always a foregone conclusion that Bitcoin was going to survive. In the early days, it would have been easy for somebody to take control of the network by providing enough mining power and crash it. Yet it didn't happen. And now there's so many different mining locations that the US couldn't even crash Bitcoin if they wanted to. They couldn't produce the processing power required to crash it. So it's not as risky as it used to be, but most of the gains are made. XRP is still somewhat risky. It's not 100% certain that it's going to play out this way. So it's not that you can't make money on Bitcoin. Can you make intergenerational wealth on Bitcoin? Well, not the same way as you can with things that are more risky. Now, going back 10 years ago, if you were buying Bitcoin at $100, yeah, you could put away $5,000 in a Bitcoin and completely change your family's finances. But the major gains have already been had. Like Bitcoin, if it runs up to $800 from now, that's a 10x. That's crazy if Bitcoin hits $800, like absolutely crazy. It could happen because sometimes things swing too far, but that is still just a 10x from current prices. In fact, it's less than a 10x now with where Bitcoin's price is. XRP, well, a 10x only takes it to $13 from here. So it's got bigger potential. What will it play out? It's hard to tell in the short term how things will play out. But is it fair to say that if this plays out and becomes the financial rails of the future, that XRP can hit $100 or maybe even much higher in the coming 15 years? And then if you extend your timeline out to 15 to 20 years, is it fair to say, Sale, that lessens your chance of failing on this investment if you're buying it at today's prices, you realize that holding it over the next 15 to 20 years greatly increases your chance that you make massive amounts of money, and that this is a generational play for massive wealth?
Yeah, so there's 2 points here. All right. One of them is scarcity of the product itself, and that gets tied into use. So I talked very briefly about it being used and utilized, and also about the fact that you're seeing a little bit of institutional play. So what people don't understand is about XRP is there's 100 billion of them. It sounds like it's a lot of XRP, right? And I told you the value of XRP has to be tied to the total value of what they have to physically move at any point in time across the network. And I said that as that value of what's on the network increases, XRP increases. Well, as that value increases, understand this is the financial system, okay? That as these countries start utilizing XRP, they're committed, right? They're not turning back. No one's going to take XRP's place. They've been working on this for 12 years, building the payment rails, building the relationships. having the contracts with these governments and with all these banks. They have a seat at the table at every council, right? So that's, no one's going to replace them, all right? Banks don't move fast. That's why it takes this long to get here. So as this kicks off, I feel more and more and more solid, all right, in the final outcome, okay? Understanding that it'll take time for this stuff to move. It'll take time for them to tokenize, deposits. The money's easy, right? But they'll tokenize deposits. They're going to tokenize, and they're doing it now with gold, what they call real world assets. Every asset you could think of, from a painting, all right, to music, all right, to land, will be tokenized, to debt, which is it's an illiquid asset today. It's a huge market. Right? They're looking, one of the things that TradFi is so excited about, all right, and these banks are so excited about, is the fact that the way that this settles, I explained earlier, with the settlement mechanism, right, which is an on-demand liquidity, that is patented, okay? That tech is patented by Ripple, okay? In the United States and internationally. No one else can do it. Trust me, they've tried and they failed, okay? So they own it, okay? Which is part of what, the banks love, okay? It's a known quantity. They have a trusted partner, right, in Ripple and XRP, the vehicle that they use. Okay, these are things you need to have in place. So as they start to utilize this, the banks are not going to change course and go someplace else. So you just need to let the narrative play out over time, and you'll see them move these real world assets up in a process, a step-by-step process. All right, and as that happens, the value will increase. So as it goes along, I'm going to become more and more and more confident in my positions. Will I take my profits? Yes. Will I take my investment back? Absolutely. I'm looking forward to doing exactly that, right? And ringing the register. And then I'm looking forward to seeing how it grows in the future. And I know, because I'm looking at it now, all right, that there are passive income opportunities available today. I'm not dabbling in them because I'm waiting for the regulations to come. Because when I put my crypto assets at play in those, I want to make sure that they're secure, or as secure as I can make them, right? Because the theory is that those passive income opportunities will show themselves, right? And I'm telling you, I've seen them already, but show themselves to be regulated by the end of this year, 2025. I'm already talking like we're past the end of the year. I apologize, right? But so that means that if you have a bag of XRP and it does hit $50 or $100, right, you now have value, okay, that you can actually stake. And I talked about scarcity. So these banks and traditional finance companies all have to hold XRP, and governments to use it on the network. So that 100 billion isn't 100 billion. All right, there's very little out there already that's outside of the big banks and the founders, right, and in escrow. And so what you have, or I expect, and to speak as me, I expect it as what I have will be of value to them to use. So it'll be loaned to them, and they will pay me for that, and passive income to be able to utilize these networks. Right, and the more that goes on, the more they need.
This thought is really important. I want to get back to it. I do want to bring up a comment. I wondered if you had heard about this. Kyle Sherman asks, XRP, the U.S. Treasury has made a groundbreaking decision. It allows the use of XRP as a means of payment for settling national debts for the first time.
That's correct. Yeah, they announced that the other day. That's been on the rails for a while. I want to also tell you that they have tested XRP for remittances and for micropayments. All right, they've worked hand in hand with them in both the Treasury and the Fed. And you can settle right now in XRP with XRP on Uphold. So all this stuff is happening. It's all coming to fruition right now. And what they're seeing right now, people are seeing is them testing and letting out pieces in preparation for what's coming.
Ashraf has a comment here. I think English isn't his first language, which a lot of people who are buying crypto are all over the world. Banks is going to be into Ripple system, and you don't know. I don't. The XRP not going to hit 10K. Like, that's why I put 500K into XRP, and I will put more. What I find interesting is that people who've been following what's going on with XRP, many have put big money into it, but most really just aren't aware of what's going on with XRP, because you have to really dig deep. But you can see videos of all these banks and leaders of different countries around the world on video from small conferences talking about exactly what's going on with XRP. Just most of the public is just completely unaware of this. And that's why I think the value happens. You touch on one of the most important points that I love, which is passive income. One of the principles of like passive income is, what is your return on investment? And is it fair to say that when they're borrowing your XRP in the future, they might only be paying you anywhere between 2 to 4% per year to borrow it, which seems like a small number, unless you figure in that you're not buying it at that price, you're buying it at an early price. And say you're buying it $1.50 and it goes up to $100, and then they're paying you 3%.
Right.
Then the return is quite substantial at that point. It's double your investment every year.
It's exactly right. You know, one of the one of the things I want to go back to, Jay, is you said that how many people are invested in XRP or know about it. So I'm going to give you the number, right? There are just over 400 million people who are invested in crypto in the world. We live in a planet with 8 billion people. 400 million people is very small, okay? Of that, there are 4 million active XRP wallets. And most people who are in XRP, a lot of people in XRP have more than one wallet. I have 16. How many people are invested in XRP? All right. How many people really know what it is?
Most don't.
They don't, because now I'm dovetailing to what you just said, is that people don't do deep dive into the research. They get what they get on a thumbnail. They do a little bit of reading, but they don't go into X and go into all the different accounts, go to Smoke Dog and some really good 801 XRP, some really good accounts where you can mine some of these videos, and they don't look at really, really good specific XRP YouTubers who do that mining, right? And a lot of these guys that are coming to the market right now, they don't know anything any more than most people out there, but they're doing a video on it because it's in the narrative. They don't really know. So, but the data is there, and it's there for anybody to find. They just have to go find it. And as soon as they do, all of a sudden their mind's going to get blown.
The amount of research it takes. A lot of people come into crypto and they expect to become millionaires in the next 2 months. That's where those people almost always fall in the 90% that end up doing poorly, because they're just not doing it right. This is just, in order to do well in crypto, in order to guarantee that you do well in crypto, you want to learn to become a savage investor in the crypto space first, but these principles apply in every sector of investment. Realize that this crypto bull run 2025 is going to be amazing. Probably 4 years from now, we'll have another run. And after that, the gains massively taper off. Now, there might be an investment sector following that, a new technology boom somewhere else, that there's some massive gains to be made. But in crypto, really, you have maybe a couple cycles. And so you're looking to get not waste your time here. I don't waste my time with meme coins. Those are like going to the casino. I look for substantive projects that offer something that really improves things around the world. And XRP is massively increasing. The technology really moves things forward from costing tens of thousands of dollars, in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions, to send money using the old SWIFT system developed in the 1970s and bring that up to date so that you can send hundreds of millions of dollars for less than $1 somewhere across the world. That's where XRP is creating real value, and it's decreasing costs of transactions and speed of transactions. And that's the real use case here. And this is why all these countries are going to build their financial rails on there. And countries changing their financial rails, that doesn't happen hardly ever. The last change was in 1970, which was 50 years ago. So realize this doesn't happen very often. And when you get there ahead of time, before most people catch on, you can make some major gains. And should you be able to loan it out in the future, which Sale is saying you already can, and it makes sense that you can, if you're buying at these cheap prices and hold till it's really expensive, that's where you can make amazing passive income that could retire you. Now, when is it going to play out where it goes to numbers that it could retire you? I don't know. It could be this run. Most likely 4 years from now, it'll be at a price that is extremely substantive. Could it hit, like Ashraf is saying? By the way, Ashraf is from Dubai. Dubai gets this. What Dubai is doing in technology is amazing. Their laws, a lot of things that they're doing in Dubai it's probably the freest market in the world. And the Saudi princes are very involved in what's happening with XRP. So they get it over there even more than most of the US gets it. If it catches on, it goes to like $10,000 this cycle. I have no idea. Is it likely to be substantively higher than it is right now in 2029? Yes, it's highly likely. And that's the kind of bet I'm playing. One of my long-term bets is going to be XRP. I have some now, but I want to roll it into some of my gains from this crypto cycle into XRP if the price doesn't go absolutely crazy. Because if you're able to buy it, say $1.30, and it goes to $100 or $500, and you're able to loan it out to the banks at say 3% per year, then your passive income on that for what you invested is substantial. Now, Sale, why would a bank be willing to pay you, say, 3% or 5% a year to use your XRP rather than just buying the XRP?
Well, because at that point in time, XRP is going to be more and more expensive, and they won't be able to buy it, right? It is being locked up. I dropped this the other day that a company you may have heard, people may know, called Wisdom Tree, okay? It's a very large TradFi, very rich organization, all right? Came out and said, okay, they have purchased, because they're overseas, right? They're international. They purchased 2 billion XRP, and they're applying for an exchange traded product for XRP as a spot, okay? Asset backed, which is really the way to do it, okay? And they're going to increase it to 5 billion. That 5 billion will be locked up. They will not be the only one. There'll be, 5, 6, 7, 8 more of them. Do the math. All of a sudden, those get locked up. Okay. The large international banks have already bought it, and they're locked up. Governments have bought it. They're locked up. Okay. And as they need more, it's not going to be available. New players coming in, it's going to be hard to get. That's why I talk about scarcity and how you as a retail investor are going to have an asset that I believe, and for myself, I believe my asset will appreciate, all right, as value moves to that network and moves across it. And then I also believe that I'll be able to make money off of that. I won't have to sell it because they need the asset and they're going to be willing to pay for it. Now, I'm going to give you one quick example. I want to close out two things. One of them is ISO. ISO is an international standard, Okay, they're set up internationally. It's not something made up. It's something that every country around the world has agreed to. They sat down, they wrote it. Ripple actually had a seat at the board when they wrote it, right? And then this standard was for the transmission of data accompanying payments. Because whether you realize it or not, ACH transfers are a black hole. When you make a transfer, it goes from bank A to bank B. Could go to C, D, E, F, G, okay, before it gets to where it needs to be. There's a fee all the way along the line. There's no data that accompanies it. The money goes out the door and goes to an address. And so when it gets to the address, you don't know that it got there. Right? They have to go find it if you call the end bank, because there's nothing that links it from A to C, D, B, E, F, right? Doesn't exist. ISO fixes that. Okay, it's one of the things that they put on this standard because they're tired of the errors and omissions. Now, the other piece I'm going to talk to you really quick as an example is another product called XLM, which is another one of these ISO coins. All right, it's a sister to XRP. It was created by Jeb McCaleb, who's one of the founders of XRP. It has half of the volume, and it's geared initially to remittances. They do a lot of other things, okay? And they have, one of the things that's running on them is a company some of you may be aware of called Franklin Templeton Funds. And they have one of their funds on there for about $400 million. And they've been testing it for a year and a half. Done great. Matter of fact, I'll tell you what, when they put that fund out there, they had, I think it was like 70% increase inside of 6 months. They were shocked, right, in the fund. But what they've done is they tested it. They wanted to see how it performed and how it was stacking up against TradFi, right? They have a $1.4 trillion portfolio. And so they had this $400 million and they said, let's look and see what it cost us for 50,000 transactions. Well, I know what it is for TradFi, right? It's a $1 transaction. So that would be $50,000. It was $120 on XLM, which is on the blockchain. Very similar to XRP. So they're like, well, this is amazing. And how much does it cost them for errors and reconciliation for settlement? Zero. How much does it cost them for their full portfolio of 1.4 trillion? $240 million a year. Their result, we're going to move our $1.4 trillion portfolio to blockchain and save all that recurring costs. You understand? This is huge, guys, right? To me, anyway, with my background and my understanding.
Yeah, you understand how this is going to be used and save companies so much money. Not only can everything happen faster, but it reduces all these errors and in transmission, right? Have you ever seen that money ended up in your bank account and you didn't know where it was, and then they had to pull it back multiple days later? Well, somebody messed up mistyping something. And if you spent that, they were going to yank it back because it wasn't your funds. All this stuff goes away, and they'll be able to verify that went to the right account immediately. And a lot of this stuff will happen behind the scenes very fast, very cheap, and it will reduce so many errors. And these massive costs for big businesses will go away. They'll go from hundreds of millions of dollars down to zero. This is why all these companies are pushing it this way. Now, why did everything break loose after Trump was elected president? Why all of a sudden did XRP and many other things take off?
Well, because basically he's a crypto-friendly, individual. His admin, right? He'd already pledged that he wanted to, make the United States the crypto leader. And on the other side, what we were doing was they were actually forcing crypto out of the country. Large crypto projects have relocated around the world from France to Dubai to get away from the regulations that were being imposed to them and the lawsuits that were taking place in the United States. I'll also tell you that this administration has a pretty good pedigree with crypto. It goes way back before this election. It goes all the way back to 2018.
Yeah, I have a question for you. This question may seem self-serving, so I'm going to ask it to you. You've been a member of our private Discord, which you can only get access to by joining the Patreon. There is a link below. Do you find that private Discord worth it? The basic membership right now is still only $20. It will go up later. For anyone who joins now, that price will be locked in for forever as long as you don't let it lapse. But later the cost will go up. Has that been worth it to be part of it? And do you see there's value for people? Because many people, I don't cover XRP that much on the general channel, but we've been talking about it for 1.5 years in the private Discord. Is there value there? Is the $20 a month worth it? I mean, for some people, that's a ton of money.
Yeah. So, look, I joined the Patreon, right, because I liked the investment philosophy that you espoused on your channel, right? And I obviously have a different background. I've been in crypto a really long time. I sat very quietly in the back of the room for a period of time, right, on your channel and in that Discord, right? And then eventually I started answering questions, right? So, but I'm going to tell you that even with that and with my background, there's an immense amount of value, right, in that particular Discord. They have had people that have come to the table with things that I hadn't thought of that made me rethink, right? And in what your Discord actually brings to the members and some of the things that are within there you cannot get anywhere else are of huge value, right? And the different doors that they have opened up, at least for me. And I mean, I love it. And that's one. Now the second piece of that is that, I'm a guy that likes to help people. I always have, right? And you have a group of people there who I have watched grow, right? They're all sharp, they're smart, they're hardworking, they're committed, but I've watched them all grow. And that's just an exciting thing to see, right? They all have value, they all interact well together. It's a great forum. I love it.
Yeah, what I've really enjoyed about it is you make your money buying low, but this is not what most people do. They do not buy low. They only chase what's going up massively. And yes, XRP's gone up, 3x, which has gotten people's attention. It's come back a little bit. We've been discussing it in the back rooms for a long time, sharing like this value. So everything we're talking about today, most of our Rainmaker private Discord has been hearing for 1.5 years. And when prices were really low, but the truth is most aren't prepared to buy low. And what I share with people, funny enough, about my YouTube channel and the philosophy that I talk about is really only about 5% of people gravitate towards this message. They just can't buy low. It's too scary for them. And as you try to provide them the information so they can make an informed decision, they're not ready for that. But I can share with you that the people that have joined the Discord, number one, very few people fell out during the bear market and fell away. Most people that get into crypto in 2021, they all left. But the Rainmaker Discord, they stuck around and they did the most important thing you can do when prices are really low, which is dollar cost average into substantive projects. And I'm really excited to see where things go in the coming year, because like the way I made my money, that I was able to retire in 2021 and fire my boss, was that in 2018, 2019, and 2020, I stuck around and I dollar cost averaged during the bear market. So when things finally popped off in 2021, I was ready to retire. I never have to take a job again in my life because of some smart decisions I made during that bear market. We're still early in this bull run, though things are starting to pop off. It's early, but I do suggest, if you haven't already, join the Discord, because there's special things that happen in there that more than make up for the value that you're paying in the $20 a month. That's just to make sure that we only get people who are ready and committed to making this work. And there are higher levels, and the stronger your commitment is, the more value that you'll end up getting out of it. There's another thing that happens. What I realized in 2021, in 2020 even, when things started popping off a little bit in 2020, was I realized that I didn't have a good enough group or network of like-minded people, and I was missing out on so many great deals because I was one person, and I had a few friends in crypto, but they weren't really researchers. They didn't quite think the same way. And so I was missing out on a lot of opportunities. And so my hope was to later be able to create a network of people who thought similarly so that I could miss less. And that's what I see coming together with our Rainmaker private Discord, is that there's some projects people bring to my attention in there that I'm like, oh man, I would have missed this. I wouldn't have understood what was going on with XRP without you sharing the level of research that you put into it. And I wouldn't realize that this is an amazing long-term passive income play for me. So what XRP is. Am I going to sell my XRP that I have? If I see that it swings too far to the upside, I will, just so that I can buy even more of it when it retraces. But like, for me, XRP is a play that I'm going to hold, and then I'm going to then lend out to banks or others so that I can make that passive income on it. Because the greatest concept in the world to me is passive income, because then I can realize some of my dreams. Like I want to charter a yacht, have a captain and like a deckhand that does all the work and make sure like we get to where we're supposed to, and sail with my wife and, you know, go through the Mediterranean for like 3 months and have them show me all the cool islands in Greece and all through the Mediterranean. And then come back to have my account worth way more than it was when I left from all the passive income coming in. Oh, Craving Crypto says he doesn't like my glasses. I did put them on because these lights are really bright. I don't care what you think. You're not my boss. I fired my boss in 2021. So good luck. And I'm kicking your ass out because we don't need you. Thanks. All right. Crypto Rain on Discord. You have to join the Patreon. And once you join the Patreon, it gives you some steps to join the Discord. In order to get there, if you have any trouble, you can DM me on Telegram at Crypto Rain with 2 N's at the end. Antonio, our admin, will help get you connected up. Cool. Sale, any final thoughts? Thank you so much for giving all this time. I know for a lot of our Rainmakers on private Discord, they've heard much of this before. I know my general audience hadn't, and I really wanted to share some of these thoughts so that the general audience had an idea what's going on with XRP and what is so special about these ISO coins.
So let me just say this, that there's currently like a suite of, I think, 12 ISO coins. All right. They all do different things, but they all work together. All right. They all are going to cover specific segments of the financial market. All right. And this idea that you just hit on, about, moving, I'm buying it for the future, right? I'll take gains today, right? But I'm buying it for the future. That's my deal too, right? And that's a different narrative than a lot of people think of in crypto. They think, I want to make $1 million today, right? I got one run, I'm going to make $1 million. But I liken this, or I compare this to buying or investing in JP Morgan at the turn of the last century. And where would it be today? Only JP Morgan on steroids, because this is global and that was in the United States. So when you think about these ISO coins, they are the backbone of a new financial system. You have to give them time to grow, time for adoption, and but most of the work, the lead up work nobody was paying attention to, was 10 years worth of work, and the next, or 12 years worth of work, and the next 10 years to 12 years to 13 to 14, you're going to see all the fruition, right? We're seeing it right now. So that's how I look at it. I've invested in it for the future, not specifically for this run. Although I promise you, take back my investment this run.
Yeah, I love people being able to hear your perspective, and it's so solid and well-founded. I read this book that changed the way I thought about money when I was younger, The Richest Man in Babylon, and it talked about learning how to make your gold make more gold for you. What I realized is in life, you only have so much with your time that you can trade your time for money. So you then have to learn how to make your money make money for you. And it talks about in the book that at first you're bad and you lose the gold you invest because you're not investing it wisely. And later you get wiser about it. And what a good way to say it. Most people, when they first come into crypto, they get wrecked because they're not doing it wisely. As they become better, then the gold starts multiplying for them into more gold, or their money starts really making money for them. And their losses do not exceed their gains. Their gains massively exceed their losses as you get better, which is what this channel is founded on. This channel is not set up to become the biggest crypto channel in the world. I don't need that, and I don't want that. It's set up to create a community of people who think and understand about crypto as an investment, that research much deeper at deeper levels to make good guesses. Because even when you research and you make really good guesses, some of those will still fail. But when you're doing it that way, your ones that succeed will more than make up for your losses. And that's where you make your gold make a lot more gold for you, or your money starts making real gains for you. And there's no better space to be doing this over the next, at least this cycle and the following cycle after that, than crypto. There's nothing with bigger upside potential. And it's really exciting that we have this moment in time to make the most out of this. And many aren't aware of it. Many are wasting their time saying dumb things about the shades I'm wearing. Who cares? We don't want people like that. We want people that understand the opportunity that's here, and they're willing to put in the work it takes to become a savage crypto investor themselves. And as they become a savage investor overall, those skills will benefit you for the rest of your life. Thank you so much, Sale, for joining us. Let's see. Ali, I cannot thank you enough, Rain, for everything. I love you. Money May says I could listen to Jay and Sale all day long. Money May is in our Rainmaker private Discord, and he's heard a lot of this stuff before. And he, most of the Discord's gotten to know Sale really well over the past number of years. It's been great having you as a member there. Thanks so much for your time, Sale.
You're welcome.
All right, everyone. I'm going to play this rap for all of you. This fun way to recap the principles that I share that make all the difference over time. Remember, XRP, sure. Is it probably going to do well in the short term? Yes. In the little bit after that, it may pull back. If it does, that's fine. I personally am playing XRP for the longer term into, say, 2030 and 2035 for the long-term passive income. Thanks so much.
To the space, chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, you buy before you could. Was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always made the time in mind. I take the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't leave with my heart. The principles are simple, to leave in a lot. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, go parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. now when I reach the top. Haters asking me how, cause I'm a rainmaker. Investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, studying to know that nothing comes easy, but with knowledge the game show. Sticking out this road, cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. Strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time, the ball will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort, cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go of the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Amazing time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough, and that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love, and I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.